My background's prettier than my face.
Elections have consequences. Elections have consequences.
All right. Good afternoon, evening for some everybody. This is Sandra Sheffred, the host of Racing the Races. You know, we have early voting that's starting in Broward County on Saturday, August the 10th. From I believe the hours are from 10 to 7 p.m. There are about 28 locations where you can go and vote. And the absolute last day you get to vote for the candidates that are in the primaries is August the 20th. Tuesday, August the 20th is the last day you can vote. I know that's the date that you hear, but that's the last date. And if you wait until August the 20th in order for you to vote, then you have to actually go to the precinct that's assigned to you on your voter's registration. You can't just go anywhere close to your job, close to the kids drop off. You have to go to your location on August the 20th. But if you take advantage of early voting, you can go to any one of the locations that's in the county and vote there. August the 8th, which I believe is tomorrow, is the last day you can request your vote by mail ballot. Since it's so close, request it so you can see it, but we actually ask that you go and drop it off at one of the locations, which you can do. And so please do that. Make sure you vote. It's an important right. And, I'm encouraging you all to do that. And so because I'm all about voting, today I have the pleasure of interviewing or speaking with Jason Lee Loring. He's running for seat board seat 3, right, in District 3. The incumbent in that race is Sarah Leonardi. Understand that this is a nonpartisan race. Typically during the primaries, you can only vote for the person that you're registered for, the party that you're registered with. But this particular race is considered nonpartisans. So both names will be on the ballot and you have an opportunity to decide who it is that you want to vote for. So I have to tell you that when I did my little rant last week, and it was a low-key rant. But it was definitely out of frustration, and it was all legitimate. Even though it was a rant, it was legitimate, and legitimate points were being made. I spoke on the NAACP forum that they had relating to school board, and I did mention Mr. Loring. I said I saw him. He came. I wasn't sure he was ready, and I was like, he got about 10 days to do it. And so, let's see, right? And he reached out to me and said, I want to have an opportunity to speak with you to let you know that I do believe that I'm ready for this seat, just as the incumbent who was there when she went into the seat didn't have that much more experience than him. So he wanted to have an opportunity to speak with me and speak to our audience. And I thought it was only fair because I did call the man name and I did say something about him. So here we are today. Jason Loring, candidate for school board seat 3. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jason Lee Loring. I'm running for Broward County School Board, as she said, and I really do appreciate her honesty. So when I watched the video and she did call me out, she said, he was at the NAACP and he didn't know any of the questions. I was like, she was right. I didn't know the questions and I appreciated the honesty, and that's why I reached out to her. What I'm realizing in this political realm of running for school board, which is a very big disappointment for me, is that it's very politically driven. And to me, I don't think our children should be pawns in a political scheme about politics. It should be just about getting the kids educated, budgeting, things that are important, the safety of our kids and all that type of stuff. So the reason I'm running is because I am a business owner. I have owned multiple businesses throughout my lifetime, and I used to actually go into other businesses and revamp their businesses. I don't know if you know much about Tabitha Coffee, Sandra. Tabitha Coffee, she used to do salon takeovers.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I used to do
yes.
similar things that she did, but different businesses. And then I did do salon businesses where I went into salons and revamped the business, made it better, and then ended up leaving to go do my own thing, created my own businesses, owned two salons, J. Loring Salon and Spa and Nirvana Salon and Spa Retreat, for over a decade. Closed them down right before COVID. Luckily, got lucky 6 months before COVID. I closed them down, went in the construction industry. graduated from Atlantic Technical College and McFadder Technical College with electricity and carpentry. So I'm a big technical advocate. I think that nursing programs, automotive, anything construction that we can get the kids involved in, I think is really important because it sets them up for a future. So the reason I'm running is I'm a business owner and I believe that I can get into the school board and I could, look at the budgeting and redo the budgeting and figure out where we're losing money, where we're spending money that we need to be spending money, and hopefully get to a point where we can give teachers and principals raises. And I was very proud. I believe it was, I want to say last week or last month that they ended up finalizing the principal raises, I think. Did you see that?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I can't say 100% because the meetings are getting longer and longer and the kids were home this summer.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, I was at one school board meeting. That's another thing I think that we need to really, really do something different. I think that we should be doing night school board meetings, weekend school board meetings, give options to every parent or every, voter or whatever to be able to come to the school board meeting, because I've been at a couple of them where I got there at like 8 a.m., 9 a.m., waited in my car till it started, and I was there until almost midnight. And I was like, this is, I can now understand why parents don't show up, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, and the meeting that I spoke about last week was a meeting that took place at 2:00 in the afternoon. I mean, if you're in a county where people work, that's not something everyone can do. I actually ended up having to take time off work in order for me to do that. It could have easily been a lunch hour event for me. However, they had a time certain item that they had to address, which I was glad to see that too, because I also commented on that time certain item and way folks voted. But nonetheless, not many folks that are able to do that, come to a meeting at 2:00 in the afternoon and then have no idea how long they're going to be there.
Correct.
It could be 5 minutes, never 5 minutes. I shouldn't say that. It could be 2-3 hours, or it could be 8, 9, 10, 11. It's not productive. And for me, even when you go through the meetings and you kind of break it down to what actually happened, it's probably maybe a good 3 to 4 hours of work at best. And the rest of it is like, I don't know, maybe people liking to hear, themselves talk or something like that, So before we go into, you specifically, tell us, what is it that the school board is really supposed to do? Because I think that's part of folks' confusion, is because maybe they have expectations that really ain't what the board job is. So if you can just educate the audience on what is it that why the school board is there and what is it they're really supposed to do? Because maybe if we can measure our expectations, we won't have our hearts broken so much.
So what the school board is really a business. It's a $6 billion business. It's all about dollars, and it's all about, keeping businesses open. So schools being open, teachers being paid, hiring and firing of employees. We're not really lawmakers. So that's where I think that a lot of people run into this problem, is they think that the school board is the one who makes all the laws. And it's actually not the number one thing that they do. The state makes the laws, the federal government makes the laws. We just have to abide by them. So school board is a business. It's hiring and firing your employees or your teachers, And so we witnessed last week, remember the one lady we talked about, Dr. I can't remember her name. I can never remember names, but Dr. What's her name? She got disciplined too last week or last month too. And so that's part of the issue, is that, people think that the school board is about, politics, and it's really not. It's about running a business and being able to offer financial money. They get tons of money. They get money from the state. They get money from the federal government. They get money for cities, and they have to be able to funnel that money properly into the positions where they belong. So that way we keep the schools open.
So they get money from taxpayers too.
Correct. They get money.
Yeah, they get us.
I believe the money from the taxpayer. I'm not 100% sure, but the way that I thought it was is it goes through your local cities, and then your city's money comes to the school board. But it could be vice versa. It goes to the school board in the cities. I'm not sure which.
Well, so I live in one of the So I think they do get money from our taxes that are paid in our city, because I think the city that I live in, a third of our whatever money they collect goes to the school board, and I believe it's similar in other cities. But then they've also had referendums where they've asked to put on the ballot and do like a penny tax or whatever it is to, so they can do all of these grand things with the schools.
Yep.
And the people are like, okay, we'll pay more sales tax so the school can get money. And then what they said they were going to do with the money they got don't seem to happen sometimes.
I believe it was 2 years ago where they put the referendum on the ballot for teacher raises. And so everybody's taxes, I got lots of calls then. Oh, my taxes are going up. And I'm like, well, the taxes came from teachers' raises because the board agreed to give the teachers raises to meet the state raises that the state gave. They tried to match them, but they didn't match them equally. And so it went on a referendum, and the taxpayers got to vote for it. So yes, 100%, the taxpayers' money is coming from is going to the school board. Every property tax, some cities I believe are almost 50%.
Yeah, and Amy Shield is confirming that in most cities the majority of the tax money goes to Broward County Public Schools.
Yep.
Yeah,
I know that in Oakland Park and Wilton Manors it's almost 50%. Yeah. Or more than 50 in Wilton, but
right. And I understand your position that what you stated, that the school board is a business. I get that, right? But businesses, depending on what it is that the service that you're providing, you can't treat them all the same, right? Correct. So we are it is a business, right? But the business is educating children, which are human beings, which are people that's supposed to be the future of the country, that you have to also take into consideration that they're well-adjusted adults, so it's not just about like, okay, this, and when you look at it from a straight numbers perspective, yes, it's a business and it has to add up and it all has to make sense. However, this isn't one of those businesses where you cannot take into consideration your product and what it is that you're trying to produce.
Yeah, so the way that I would see it, if I was a business person coming into the school board, the employees are your teachers and your principals. Your product is your student.
Right. And
so I mean, it really, if you look at it from a business perspective, it's literally a business, and the goal is to sell your product and to do good with your product and be able to get your product to be successful, really,
And so I guess one of my questions would be like, what is the role of the board to make sure that their employees that's producing a product is the best product that's out there? Well-adjusted folks, educated, can go to college, those types of things.
Monitoring teachers, making sure the teachers are teaching the student. Good principals, I think people keep on a lot of the times people look right past the principal. And so if the principal's not, in there doing their job and doing a good job and monitoring the teachers and making sure that things are being done accordingly. And, for tech schools, for example, a principal is the leader. He's the boss. He would be your store manager, basically. And if your store manager is not doing a job, like I used to work for Lucky's for a short period of time, and I know why they went bankrupt. It was because the store managers were very bad store managers. Mm-hmm. So if the store managers are not doing their job too, it affects the teachers, which then in turn affects the students. And so that's where I have this whole like budgeting issue that I would like to dive into and get to know more about and be able to evaluate and clean up a little bit, because I don't believe the teacher should have to buy supplies for the students. I think the supplies should be supplied. I mean, why are they having to go and use their own very little pay already as it is, and now they got to go and buy supplies for students? That should be already in the budget.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. Teachers should not have to provide certain resources, and it's not only just the teachers; they also have parents doing that too. Because my children have been in school. I have children that are in school right now, and there's always this wish list that the teachers need, and then they're asking parents to donate wipes and baskets and papers and all of these additional things to provide for the classroom. Yeah. And I get it. There are 240,000 students in the public school system. If the system decided that they were going to make sure all of those things are provided, that could end up being a hefty part of the budget, I guess, but I think one of the concerns that people have is that they don't I don't see enough transparency on the board about how money is spent. Even when they have meetings, they have all these staff people that come up like, I'm not ready to tell you that today. Let me come back another time. What would you do differently? Or is there something that you would do differently if you were on the board to bring some more transparency on how money is spent in the district, just so people can get more confidence back in what it is the board is doing?
There is multiple avenues. I mean, every time that we have a hurricane, we receive a text message from our city saying, hey, there's a hurricane, prepare for it. Why are we not receiving the same kind of communication for important topics at the school board? Why are we not receiving an email? Like, for example, the new bomb ordinance, I think you know about the bomb threat ordinance, where they're no longer going to be evacuating schools during a bomb threat, which to me, I'm mortified, because being a veteran of the United States Army and spending eight months in Iraq, 2 tours in Iraq, I know what bombs do to people. And so I worry very greatly. The ordinance, I had read a little bit about it, and I was a little bit shocked that they had staff members. It was a staff member's job to go in and evaluate that bomb. And I go, those aren't bomb trained people. But anyways, off topic. So I was told by teachers, they never got informed of the bomb threat ordinance. They went directly to the principals. The principals then did not relay the message to the teacher or the parents or the students. And that's where I think we have a huge issue. If we had a budget to be able to just to communicate, whether it's phone calls, Wilton Manors, for example. I used to live in Wilton Manors, so a lot of my calls and my text, my phone's still on their log, I guess. And so I'll still get phone calls and text message every time a hurricane comes, and they leave you a voicemail. I'm like, oh, that's great. So if we're having a very important issue at the school board, why is it not being communicated to the parents, at least to the parents? I mean, it would be nice to be communicated to every taxpayer also, but the parents should be the number one focus. Their children should be the top priority, I would believe. And so it's supposed to funnel, from what I heard, it's supposed to funnel through the principals into the teachers, and the teachers are supposed to tell the parents. Why can't the school board tell the parents? That's my issue. So transparency, major issue, and accountability, second major issue. You know, those two things, they need to be accountable and they need to be transparent. When they make a mistake, admit you made a mistake. Just tell the truth. You're waiting on somebody to admit you made a mistake. So
So I don't know. So I hear what you're saying, but I'm also a lawyer sometimes, right? And so in the whole accountability thing, it may be difficult for them to admit some of these mistakes because there's some legal consequence to what it is that they did, right? And I think that's another part of the transparency too, is I believe if people had an idea of some of the lawsuits that were pending because of folks' behavior, that might be that may be a different conversation. So in terms of I understand, I agree with you that they should admit when they make mistakes. However, I think part of why they can't do it is because usually when they make a mistake, legal got to get involved. You know what I'm saying? And they don't want to admit anything on the record since all of those things are recorded. So, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's kind of what happens sometimes.
Yeah, and you brought up another valid point, but I think it totally dodged my mind, so I probably won't be able to repeat it. Trying to think what you just now said. When you said something else, and I went, "Oh yeah, that's another good point." But yeah, I don't got it.
No, that's okay. No, so one of the things, word on the streets, is that the school board, they have a big money problem for their budget for next year. What, if anything, what recommendations would you make would you make or suggest for them with this problem that they have? Because they got charter schools to pay. I think they should have sent out a payment last month. I don't know if they did it or not, but that negotiation, they were supposed to make a payment
$75,000 payment.
Oh no, it's a lot more than that, because I think the bill is over and the bill is about $100+ million.
It's 70. You're right. It's 108 billion, and they're supposed to pay like 75 or 85 billion right now, and I'm like.
So they're going to start the year off with some money problems. What, if anything, if you go in, how can you tell them to find ways to to deal with their deficit. Because I don't know if it's anybody to fire. What recommendations would you make if you had an opportunity to do that, or maybe you don't know
I
yet
mean, I
because you
do.
haven't
I
seen
do have one logical thing because I don't know how much of the general public knows this, but I was friends with a gentleman who donated $5 million to the Fort Lauderdale High School. 5,000. I think it was 5 million. I want to say 5,000 or 5 million, but it was a big number to the Fort Lauderdale High. That's why they got all their buildings built, and that's why they were able to revamp and stuff. And this could be him gossiping and saying he did it. So I'm not promising this is what happened. But what I'm saying is, why can't we reach out to the general public and say, hi, would you like to donate to revamping a building? For example, like some of our buildings, like we talk about, roof caving in. I mean, a roof caving in should never have happened.
Mhm.
So if we had donors that had, money that they're donating to everything else right now, why can't they donate to a school? Why can't they say, hey, I would like to donate to the school as long as I have? Because back in the day, I remember they would donate to schools and then all they would want was like a chair with their name on. So it's not a bad option to just
It's not
ask
a
the
bad
general
option.
public, hi, we're having budgeting issues because we screwed up. Okay, that's literally why they're having budgeting issues right now. They screwed up, they made a mistake, they did the wrong thing, and now they're having budgeting issues. So is there a way to get those donors to say, hi, I would like to have a chair put in with my name on it, and then they donate money to the schools? Secondly, and I get distracted by the texting too, so I'm looking at you. So secondly, the other option is I believe that our superintendent, I think he has a very big passion on wanting to do the right thing. And so I'm watching this gentleman. And I love him to death. I think he's a great superintendent. I think we really found somebody who wants to be there. His family, I watched his swearing in and everything. His family was there. It was great. So I would love to give him the opportunity to try to see what he can find. And I hate the word, by the way, as a business owner, I hate the words find money. Okay. Find money means we're firing somebody in business.
Mhm.
So that's what bothers me by the words find money. But I would like to be able to see if he would be able to evaluate something and give him a chance to evaluate the budget and see if he can get something where it's important. That he could find money. I hate saying it, but that's the answer for it. There's got to be there might be money just waiting around somewhere. I don't know. We need to give him the opportunity to succeed and do his job.
Oh yeah, so I guess it would, yeah, someone that can help him with the budget and figure out like where there's like waste and abuse happening and try to maybe monies are being spent in certain directions or on certain items that may not be there. So that is definitely a tall tale. So Scott Travis made a correction. He said 108 million for charter schools over 3 years, and so that meant that they probably had to do a payout of $30 million that was supposed to happen this year, and then then 25 another third, and then the 26 that's my understanding. So it's 108 million dollars and they have to pay a third of that. They should have paid it in July is what I remember from the board meeting. Maybe they paid it, maybe they didn't, I don't know.
Yeah, I believe there's 3 payments they're supposed to make.
Yeah, they're supposed to make 3 payments. But Miss Carla has a question in the chat, and she's like, and she wants to know, like, how will you hold yourself accountable to your constituents?
I mean, I would love to see all the constituents have a voice and to be able to go into the school board and chime in and say, this is what I would like. So really the best way to be accountable to a constituent is to know what they want. That's the best thing. So having that, it's going to be very challenging to have everybody have a say, because that is what we would all love. We would all like to know that our voice counts and that we are accountable, that we are being accountable to the constituents. So I would love to be able to always have an open line of communication. The military calls it an open door policy. And I think an open door policy for every constituent to be able to reach out to somebody, whether you like them or not. This is what I think a major politic issue is that when somebody doesn't agree with you, they either get blocked or they get shut off. Okay. That to me is wrong. I like the idea that I'm not always going to agree with everybody. The reason why I like having tough conversations, the reason I called you and I said, hey, I heard you talk about me and I would like to give some clarification, is because if we don't have those hard conversations, where are we? We're just evil people and we're not even trying to help each other out. So I want to have those hard conversations. And so my best way I think about being accountable to people is having an open line of communication where they can contact me at all times. and say, hey, I would like to have this done, or try to negotiate a term. But that's my thought. Communication, number one.
All right. So there's another question. It was like, Mr. Lauren, are you going to comment on attending all of the meetings in person? Sometimes some people can't be there. So
you see, so I know a great deal about Robert's Rules of Order and parliamentarian law. And most Robert's Rules of Order and most bylaws in place state that you have to be there to cast a vote. What I do not like is that certain people do not show up to the school board meeting and they still get a chance to vote. Okay. If you're not there physically in person, you should not have a say so, because you're not really there supporting the constituents. You're at home, or you're wherever you are on your phone. And that bothers me. I think that if you take a job or the school board, you should be there every single day, every single meeting that they have, you should be there.
Yeah, so I do understand what you're saying. However, I know some of the board members, they have family obligations
Correct.
that may make it difficult. Some people may have health issues and that type of thing, and that's why they're not there. I'm just saying, I don't know if that's always the case 100% of the time, and we don't want to act like we're not sensitive to working mothers and people with health issues, just for clarification.
Definitely not.
However, I do understand what you mean, that sometimes, there's sacrifice that needs to be made when you take on certain roles. And if you can't fulfill your obligation, that may not be the thing for you to do. So I can see both sides of that. But go ahead and comment.
I have to just compliment you on something, because you remind me a lot about myself, because when you say something, it's on your face. And you're like, I'm not gonna lie, and then when you're gonna say it, you can see it on your face what you're trying to say. So I'm the same way. I don't lie to people, and the reason I don't lie to people is because it's right here. It's
I don't have a poker face. I do not.
I don't have no poker face. There's no reason to have a poker face.
I don't have one. I know I don't have one. I'm so sorry for all of that, right? So we let's get back a little bit to the students, right? How do you think we can improve student achievement? I know that the folks are bragging about the fact that the school district is an A district right now. That's amazing that happened, since I didn't hear a lot of talking about students for the last couple of years. However, there is some disparity in terms of what services that students get depending on what zip code they live in. What is it that you think you would add to the board to improve, student achievement, or the services that students get? That's kind of like two questions.
I am, like I say a lot, as I'm a big firm believer in tech schools. And I don't mean just like construction and nursing and all that. I'm big into all type of tech schools that set up a child for future music. For example, if a kid is a really good pianist and they want to go in, they want to be like a very famous pianist, right? I think we should have those type of, they call them programs, to be able to get those kids active and give them something to look forward to go to school for. See, and if you have those activities and you say, hey, well, you got to have A's and you got to have B's, that you got to be an A-B student to be able to have those activities also. Like we used to do, because I'm 40 years old. Let me make that clear. People always think I'm like 25. I'm actually not 25. Okay, I'm 40 years old. Okay, so in my day, when you were a bad student and you were a football star and you got an F in school, guess what? You got removed from football until you could pick up your grades. So I don't want to take away from a child who wants to do a good job, but I want to inspire them to say, hey, if you want to go and you want to do this X, Y, Z, you should want to have better grades, because in the future, when you decide to move on and you want to go to some major college like Stanford or, any like that, you're not going to be able to do that with X. So lead them up to that direction. Give them a chance to be better in schools. I'm concerned that we magically became an A+ school right now. That's what I'm very concerned about. How did we become an A school right now? Now, I was told, and again, I'm not 100% sure of this, because it's people like to talk and people like to say things, right? I was told that it was test scores. So the test score, the standard, I guess, was lowered or something like that. And so now we're an A+ school. Of course we are, and it's just perfect timing to be an A+ school, to be honest with you. But so I don't want an A+ school. What I want is A+ students. I want the child to be so successful that when he leaves our schools, he's either got a job, he's able to count money at a register. I mean, for God's sakes, I went to Publix twice now and they can't count money back. And that mortifies me and scares me that our kids are leaving schools and they're unable to look at a computer that tells you the cashier cash register tells you $1.08. Okay. And you look at your register and you go, I don't know how to count $1.08. Okay, and it happened to me.
All right, Mr. Lauren. You know these kids got all their cards on their phones and they don't have to carry money no more. They're like, what's that? You know,
money back. I'm just saying.
They want to know why you came in there with money in the first place. You don't got no Apple Pay. What's happening in your wallet?
I
the wallet that's on your phone, not in your pocket.
I had cash in my pocket. And I don't remember what I was buying, sodas or something. And the girl gave me $1.50 extra. And I went outside. I look at my receipt and I go, something's not adding up. So I go back and I said, ma'am, I don't want you to short your register. So I want to give you your money back. I went a second time to Publix in Wilton Manors because my washer broke. So I had to go to the laundromat. And I asked for cash back, and I asked for $50 cash back because laundromat's expensive these days, by the way. I didn't realize how bad it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I go and she shorts me $5. She can't even count 5, 10, 15, 20, 50. I mean, come on. That scares me. So I look at her, I says, ma'am, I do apologize, but I hand her the money back and I say, you may want to recount this. So I think that A+ students should be our priority, not A+ schools.
Right. And
I don't think the district should be as concerned about being the best as they should be concerned about doing right by the child.
It is exactly. And so that's part of where technology is a good thing and a bad thing at the same time, because you're learning certain skills. Like, I mean, if you tell some of these young folks to send a letter, they be like, wait, what's that? And how do I do that? Right. Like, they cannot address an envelope because it's not something that they ever have to do like at all. Right. You pay all your bills online, you send messages, you send emails, you don't mail letters. Right. So there's a lot of skills, things that, we take for granted that it's like, how is it that you don't know this, but it's not part of their reality, right? Yep. So then you just have to figure out, like, do we incorporate this in the curriculum? I don't know, right? Like, I don't know. But the money part, you should know how to count. But I think it's not that they can't count. I think they're not as familiar with the currency because they're not using the currency at all. Most of them don't have coins. They're just it's the card. My son, he has his card on his phone and that's it. Like, I think he can count though. I mean,
for example, I think it would be great if we had every school, a high school student before they left high school have to take at least one accounting class. I think that would be a really good way. I mean, back in my day, again, I'm old. So back in my day, we used to have home ec. So home ec was when you learned how to put a stamp on an envelope, you learned how to write a check, you learned how to sew. So are those important things to me? Now they are, but are they important to the kids now? No, they're probably not. Kids nowadays don't know how to sew a button on their shirt. So yeah, and it should be. We should really go back to doing the basic stuff. I really believe that. And so to answer her question, to be able to get those achievement gaps up, I really just think that we need to focus on just pushing education and set the kids up for success, set them up for college. I mean, if not every kid's going to want to go to college, and we know that. So tech schools, a firm believer, like I said, because we set them up for a future, we set them up for a job. I ran into a lady also at Publix who was a big advocate for tech schools as well, and she went to the nursing program at the same school, and she's like, "Oh my God, I love it that you're a tech school person because so am I." And I'm like, it just makes sense. Not every kid's going to want to go to college, so get them ready for the workforce.
And that's true.
Ready to be able to look at a computer and see a receipt and it says this person paid this much. This is what he gets back. I think technology has really messed us up a great deal because they never had that when we were kids growing up. We didn't get the computers that told us how to count the money back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for true, and for so true. And again, I'm older than you actually, and so I
Hey,
remember
well,
when they
great.
had Votech in school. I have to say, like, I was
Yeah,
doing something today, and my sister graduated before me, and I was looking at her old yearbook, and in the yearbook they had all of these clubs, all of these different organizations. We were talking about how they took there was cooking. You could learn how to cook in school. You could learn how to sew. One of my friends, she said, "Oh yes, I made this dress in the sewing class, and I love this so much because I did it, and I wore it to church." I have a classmate who did HVAC, who took
yeah,
Votech classes. They taught all those in the school. He makes more money than I do because construction is such a big thing. So, like as you say about, not everyone's going to college. We
yeah,
should at least be preparing folks for vocational education.
right.
They bring those things back into the schools, right? And then I also have a daughter that's ESC, so we have special needs population students who we know whatever career, whatever it is that they're going to do as adults, it's going to probably require manual labor because they have an intellectual delay or intellectual disability. So why are we not providing service, teaching them in school things that they can do using their hands, right? So if you're allowed, if that's something that the board does, because we're still not 100% sure what truly the board's job is, I don't know. Is that something that they can do? Make these recommendations, or that's completely out of their hands on how they can better the educational outcome of the students in the school system?
I believe it's a thing where we leave a lot of the stuff is left up to the superintendent. So we probably would have to put something through to the superintendent, and then I believe that the staff has to approve it. Obviously, it's inner workings. I mean, there's a lot more than just a school board member. People think the school board member makes all the decisions. They do not make all the decisions. There is staff that makes decisions. The superintendent makes decisions, and yes, the superintendent works underneath the school board, but he still makes certain decisions. And when it comes to bullying, for example, it's not the school board member's job to go into a principal's office and yell at a principal. It's the superintendent's job. It's supposed to be relayed to the superintendent, and then he's supposed to do the job. So there's certain things that I think that people are misunderstanding. I want to say it's not that they're uneducated, it's just they don't know a lot about it. And so the school board has lots of different positions out there,
Okay.
and very high paying positions. Let me make that clear. I
Oh
was
yeah.
very shocked that the one lady made $350,000. I was like, wow, that's a lot of money.
So Carla's asking, issue is special programs cost the district money, and with the budget issues, they seem to want to dwindle them to cut costs. So special programs cost
Yeah,
money, but they paying people for contracts that
yeah.
are over budget, out of time, can't
Fort
get
Lauderdale
done.
right now is going through that problem. They're closing down Fort Lauderdale High is closing down programs at Fort Lauderdale High right now for that reason. So yes. So as far as construction goes, I do know what Atlantic Technical College, because as a student at Atlantic Tech, I did go there for carpentry. And Atlantic Tech goes through ABCI. ABCI is I believe it's American Building Construction Institute. And so they offer you internships. And so I think it's really important that we also work alongside of other businesses as well. So people like ABCI can say, okay, well, I'm going to help fund this class. There's nothing wrong with asking, like we said earlier, for other people to put in a little bit of money here and there.
Okay. And so for clarification, Scott Travis is saying the only person that makes $350,000 in the school district is the superintendent. And I don't even know if he got 350. I think he's at 340 or something like that.
Yeah, but with all of his insurances and stuff, he's pretty up there. But there was the one lady, I can't remember her name. Like I told you earlier, I'm bad with names. But the black lady with the short hair, and they always call on her.
Oh, I don't think
she went up. She's the highest paid employee of the school board.
It might have been in the 200s. I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was 350. I don't know.
Well, either way, it's numbers.
It is definitely significant. So I don't want to keep you all the whole time, but we do have like one other thing that you're going to have to deal with when you get on the if and when you get on the board is the issue of these repurposing school, redesigning schools, closing schools, whatever. Right. Word they want to give it. What are your thoughts about this decision that the board is making to close schools, redesign, repurpose, whatever you want to call it? How would what are your thoughts on that, and what position would you take on the decisions that they're insisting that they have to make?
I think it's a very sad situation. No, we should never be talking about closing down schools. And the reason why I'm saying that is it's going to affect students. It's going to affect principals. It's going to affect the teachers of the school. It's going to affect the janitorial people of the schools who are doing the cleaning. Every employee at the school board level, the people in the cafeteria, is going to lose their job. So there's going to be a great deal of people that are going to lose their job just over one school closing. I think there's like 30 somebody had said a very high number of employees in every single school that's going to lose their job. And so that to me, I find very sad. Now, I do understand that it's probably going to end up having to happen where they're going to end up having to at least 5 to 7 schools close. Now, I would hope that because we're now an A-rated school, quote unquote, I would hope that that's going to change things a little bit, and maybe we won't end up closing down any schools, but we'll just have to play it by ear and see where it goes in the future. I would like to be able to get in there and help the superintendent look at the budget and make sure that we shouldn't close down a school. I understand that there is going to be a couple of schools that's going to be below 50% capacity. I get that, but I just don't want to see parents who are in, because I have a friend of mine who told me something very important years ago. It's called a food desert. And so a food desert is a very poor or poor is the wrong word to use because people apparently get offended by the word poor. But that's what it is. It's a poor neighborhood, and the people in those neighborhoods don't even have transportation to get to a Publix or to a Whole Foods or whatever, right? So instead of them having a grocery store to get to, they have a convenience store, or they have a gas station that has their groceries. Now we are essentially closing down a school in that area. And we're saying that person who already doesn't have transportation to get to a grocery store now has to either bus their kids into schools or find transportation to get to schools. And they're already challenged right now. So I have an issue with that because poor people, I was raised in a very poor family. I was raised in a trailer park trash type family. Okay. What I don't want to look back on is going, oh, okay, well, we hurt a child because they no longer are going to school. And I know that it's the law that we have to put our kids into school. There is a law that says that you have to force that child to go to school, that every parent has to do that. But at what cost? At what cost are we hurting these like food deserts? At what cost? So I don't want to see us having to close down those schools, and especially picking and choosing based on demographic or whatever, and not picking and choosing based on important things. Like if a building is falling apart, why are we not focusing on bettering that building, for example? I get the unenrollment part that I do understand, but some of those schools, that's all the students they have in that area. So
Yeah.
do we close down a school and we affect that parent greatly, that child greatly, and all those employees greatly? That's my issue.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. Particularly in some of the communities that they want to close those schools, it's, it may not be easy if they're, set somewhere else. And then I know that, the school is always hiring bus drivers. And so even if they did say, okay, we'll offer transportation, are you going to have enough people that's going to have those positions in order to bus those students to school? Because my daughter used to take a bus, and that's a whole nother conversation in terms of like how the transportation with the school system works. So, maybe they can figure out a way, but I don't, there's a lot. So why do you we've talked to just about a few of the challenges that you will have if you end up on this board. I mean, why is it that you want to do this? Why do you want to deal with these repurposing of schools, going into a business that's probably going to be operating at a deficit, dealing with parents that are annoyed because there's not enough transparency, going into schools where, I mean, they say it's the A district, but we know that's not for everybody. But they also were no DNF schools. So I guess, you know what I mean? I don't know if all the C schools are in your area. Why is it that you want to take on all of these challenges in your life and not just keep running your business?
Well, let me just make it very, very clear to the viewers. I have closed down all of my businesses. I had two handyman companies, active handyman companies, successful. And I close them down and run for school board. Now, you ask yourself, why would I want to do it? To be honest with you, I have always given my life to everybody else. My entire life, I've given my life to somebody else. So so back in March, I believe 19th of 2003, we all witnessed the jets fly over Baghdad, Iraq, and dropping bombs. I was one of those soldiers who saw the TV, and I wanted, since I was 14 years old, to join the United States military, either go into ROTC or whatever, right? Never got the opportunity because I had a very controlling grandmother who loved me greatly, and she didn't want to see me go off and do something that was obviously dangerous. Well, when the jets flew over and dropped the bombs over Baghdad, I pointed at the TV and I said, that's where I want to go. That's where I want to be. My heart and my soul is invested in this idea that I can help others. Okay. I gave my life for this country. I risked everything to give my life for this country so that your own family members didn't have to. Okay. I don't know why I have this hero complex, is what some psychologists are going to end up calling it. I'm sure it's going to be a whole story on the internet or the news at some point. Okay, Jason Loring has a hero complex. Okay, you're right, I do. There's nothing wrong with that. I would like to give my life to make sure that children are being safe, that the voters are being listened to, that the parents are understood, that the teachers get their raises, and that the principals get their raises, and that other administration in the school as well, the janitors get their raises. I believe that I can make a difference. And when I was asked to run for school board, I said, no, 10 times, I'm not running for school board. That is not what I want to do. Okay. Then I realized this is something where I can affect the future generations of humans. Okay. Our future generations rely on this aspect right now. This is the only position that I know of that has an extremely great impact on our futures. Okay. Children deserve better. Parents deserve better. If somebody's not doing their job, why are they there? I have a prime opportunity, and I have a great deal of time now that I've closed all my businesses. I have a great deal of time to put all of my effort into protecting the children and doing the right thing at the end of the day. That's why I'm running for school board. I'm not doing this for myself. If I wanted to do this for myself, I could stay in my businesses and make $100,000 or more a year. I'm giving up $100,000 more a year for a job that I believe pays $43,000 to $46,000 a year.
I know I can't do it. So
what?
I know I can't do it. I can't afford it.
Before I ran, I was at the school board. I would go to school board meetings before I agreed to sign up. And Scott Travis remembers me being there, I'm sure. And I was there, and I was going in, I'm like, okay, is this what I want to do? Right? And I would go up to people and say, hi, you're a very great speaker. Why don't you run for school board? I was trying to give away the position to somebody that would do it and do it with passion. What we need is a school board member who has so much passion and cares. That's what we need. Right now, and I don't want to be a negative person, we have a school board member who sits there with BITCH face all the time. She's unhappy. If she doesn't like doing her job, resign. Let somebody else come in and do the job. Focus on your children and your family. That's my honest opinion.
And on that note, tell these folks how they can donate to your campaign, volunteer for you, because you're going to need people at those voting locations.
Correct.
But your seat is in a district. You can tell us which cities are included. Yeah. And so they'll know how many voting sites you need folks for. You're going to promise them some water because it's 100 degrees outside, and a good dry fit t-shirt. You know what I'm saying? So tell them how they can donate or volunteer for your campaign, please.
So you can reach me at Loring, 4, schoolboard.com. Really simple. I made it simple because I didn't want it to be difficult for you guys to find me. There is a contact. I don't know if I still have the contact page up on there, but you guys can always contact me via text message. And this is something a politician would never do because I'm not a politician. You can have my phone number. It's 954-707.
Hold on a second. Give me 1 second. I'm putting it in. I'm taking it in. Okay. All right. Yes. So you said it's Loring, 4, schoolboard.com, right?
Yep,
okay.
Correct.
And then the phone number
954.
Yes.
707-0780. And I know it's a very nice phone number. I paid for it so I could have an easy phone number to remember. I've had that phone number, I want to say, for about at least 5 years, 5 or 6 years. You can contact me there. If I get elected, by all means, I want people to call me at that same phone number and yell at me if they want to. I don't care. I want to be able to be the voice for every single person on in Broward County. I don't want to be this voice just for one group of people. That's not what I want. I ran for a non-party seat for a reason. I wanted it to be a non-party issues. I don't want to be a politician. That's not what I want to be.
All right. And do you think you're going to be able to get those folks to see things your way, or at least enough of them?
I mean, yes, because I do not believe that I'm one side or the other in my heart. I believe, and I've been talking a great deal about this, and so I'm sure this will be a story on the news as well. I've actually been debating moving to NPA just because I'm so sick and tired of everything being politically driven. I am really tired that especially when it comes. So since I run for school board, since I started running for school board, this has been almost an absolute nightmare for me, because it's all about, I get so many, so let me also, so you sent me the questionnaire because we talked about it, right?
Right.
And it was nice to get a questionnaire that had no bias in it. It really was, because every questionnaire that I have received is either biased on the right or biased on the left. Why are we having this left or right conversation when it comes to children? That's what I'm wondering. This is where I'm having an issue. And so what I have an issue with is teachers' pay raises, principals' raises, and children's education being politically driven, okay? And holding on to them like pawns in somebody's agenda. That's my issue. So I've been debating this whole entire time. When I'm done with this, I'm going NPA. Now, I haven't decided fully that I'm going to do it yet. I'm just saying that that's right now in my heart, because I didn't realize running for school board was so political. Like, I thought it was just going to be like, it's going to be calm and we're all going to get along and we're all going to get together. And so far, me and Sarah, we sat on dioceses, or whatever you want to call them, at forums, and we don't have this like negative interaction with people. It's only the followers that have negative interactions with me or her. We don't. She asked me at one of the forums, when you get elected, would you allow me to work alongside of you still? And I said, well, yeah, by all means. Her community outreach is great. So why would we lose that? Why would we want to lose anything that is positive? Right? This is not supposed to be one side or the other. This is supposed to be, how can we do the right thing at the end of the day?
That's true. So, all right, Jason Loring, candidate, school board, District 3. Early voting starts October 10th to the 18th. Broward County, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. 28 different locations where you can vote. Last day to vote is August the 20th, Tuesday, August the 20th. The polling places will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. However, if you wait until August the 20th, you have to actually go to your location to vote, and you can request your vote by mail ballot up until tomorrow. If you decide to do that, you're better off dropping it off instead of mailing it in, even though you can track it. But it's good to see what's on your ballot before you go in, because there's some judges and some other stuff on there.
May I throw something in on that too?
Yes.
This has happened multiple times. Just because your voter registration says your polling location is one location on the 20th, just to let you know, they may move your location as well. So make sure that you go to the SOE's website and type in your address and make sure that you're going to the right polls, because I had it happen 2 years ago. I want to say at the polls, people coming in and they're going, oh, I'm at the wrong poll. They keep sending me out. So just don't wait to the very, very last minute. Don't wait till 7 p.m. to go and vote, because you don't know that you're at the right poll. Okay. Make that clear.
Yes, thank you for that. All right. LoringForSchoolBoard.com. His phone number, he gave it to y'all, 954-707-0780. He said, call him, check him, hold him accountable.
Yep. And LoringForSchoolBoard@gmail.com is my Gmail. So you can also just email me there as well.
All right, let me put that. Loring.
And thank you, Carla. I would love to have you hold me accountable.
At Gmail. So you can email him too. Keep a paper trail. All right. Have a good night. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And thank you for allowing me to come on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Elections have consequences. Elections have consequences.